Put up Lovelace and Levis.
Don't know what they're doing, but they laugh a lot behind the green door. The scene is set.
Taxpayers' money and on the centre court.
A lavish production. Not having a judge, I got Stanley Kubrick.
All stand.
There's quite a few walk-ons, aren't there?
I feel quite bare without my wig.
Well, stop wiggling, they'll bring you one.
On the first count, you, Albert Lovelace, you, Ronald Levis, are charged with robbery, contrary to Section 8 of the Theft Act 1968. And the particulars are that on the 13th of December 1975 at Fulchester, you robbed Helen Warburton of one pair of
How's your
Japanese
mind?
vases.
Got something on his mind.
Do you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Spoons,
Cut his wrist this morning.
Suicide attempt?
Shaving.
On the second
Yeah,
count,
you know what Shakespeare said about the law, don't you?
What did Shakespeare say about the law?
It's an us.
If I'd known that, I would have brought a bunch of cunts.
You're not allowed to feed them in public, you know.
December 1975 at Fulchester, you robbed Gordon Roach of one gold watch, one silver pocket watch, 2 silver picture frames, 1 Wedgwood vase, £8 in postage stamps, and 62 magazines and 3 dozen postcards. Lovelace, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Shall I tell her? Not guilty, my lord, and I think my friend is somewhat similar.
Lovelace, this is a court of law, not a music hall. The charges you face are serious ones.
Oh, he's very good, you know, isn't he? We could use him in the act every night.
Nothing without his makeup.
Levis, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. Will they hold it against me?
Only if you're very lucky. Hey, what's that box for?
Oh, that's the jury. 12 good men and true.
Where'd they get 12 men control from?
Well, they import them, you know, from the underdeveloped countries.
Do they get paid?
Well, if we're guilty, they get our ears.
I call Helen Warburton.
Lovelace and Levis, 2 club and pub entertainers and self-employed jobbing builders, are accused of gaining entry by false pretences into the homes of 2 old-age pensioners, assaulting them and stealing goods and money on December the 13th last year. For some time, the police have been trying to catch a gang, branded by the press as the Jolly Swagmen, who've committed a whole series of offences against old and isolated people, by disguising themselves as tradespeople or travellers to gain entry to the old people's homes. The police have insufficient evidence to link all the offences together, but the similarity of the offences with which Lovelace and Levis are charged suggests that if they perpetrated them, the Jolly Swagmen have been caught at last.
Your name is Helen Warburton?
Yes.
And your address, Mrs. Warburton?
7B Blackfriars Mansions, Fulchester.
Do you live alone?
Yes, since my husband died, I've just had Percy.
Percy?
My canary. He'd been with me 4 years. That's 83 in our life.
Yes, quite so. Now, can you remember what happened on the morning of December the 13th last year?
It was 11:05.
Something happened at 11:05.
Yes.
Why are you so certain of the time, Mrs. Warburton?
I turned Pete money off for them.
Yes, well, let's take this in stages, Mrs. Warburton. What happened at 11:05?
A man knocked on the door and said he was from the Milk Marketing Board.
Yes.
Well, there was this man with a beard, and I thought if I switched off Pete Murray for this. Then he says, you have been chosen by the Milk Marketing Board as the lucky lady of Blackfriars Mansions. Well, I said, there's every other sort of lady in Blackfriars Mansions. But he come back quick as a flash with, yes, but you are the lucky one chosen to test our free milk samples.
Was he wearing a uniform, or was there anything about him to suggest he did, in fact, come from the Milk Marketing Board?
He was holding a pint of milk.
I see. And what did you do when he said you'd been chosen to test these samples?
Well, it was more what he did. He sort of elbowed his way in and all...
Elbowed his way in?
Yes, and all the time he was going on with this line of patter about how the milk stayed fresh, tasted creamier, didn't go off, you know, and I thought, how interesting. And he said that his assistant would come up with a tray of samples. And I turned and I saw the assistant come up, and he was a Pakistani, but it was too late then.
Yeah. What happened next?
Oh, well, they started acting daft before I could do anything. The Pakistani came in with a tray of milk and said, sit down, Creamy, this is all you're going to get for the next day or 2. And I thought, funny, that's not like the Milk Marketing Board.
No, indeed. And what happened after that?
Well, the man with the beard, he locked the door, and I knew they were up to something. And I said, "What's the game?" And the dark one, the Pakistani, said, "Daisy, we are the jolly swagmen. It's milking time."
We are the jolly swagmen. Now, tell me, was there anything unusual about them? Let's start with the Pakistani first.
Yes, he was a bit strong-looking for a Pakistani. I always think of them as weedy little things.
Yes. Anything else?
Well, his voice came and went a bit, you know. It was sometimes one thing, sometimes another.
Yes. And what about the white man, the one with the beard?
What do you mean?
Well, was there anything about the appearance of the beard which seemed to you in any way unusual?
Well, of course, I was terrified, but it seemed a bit too bushy.
Too bushy for what?
Well, to be natural. It's that one over there, and he was wearing those spectacles.
Yeah, they're exhibits 1 and 2, my lord.
Yes.
Now, Mrs. Warburton, are you saying he was wearing that false beard and those spectacles?
Those are the very ones.
Mrs. Warburton, at the time the men were in your flat, did you believe them to be in disguise?
Well, I knew they were the jolly swagmen, and they're always in disguise.
What made you so sure that you were in the hands of the jolly swagmen?
They said they were, and anyhow, I knew before they said it because we've been reading about it for weeks. And they warned us not to open our doors to men in disguise.
Well, but you did open your door, took them to be genuine. What I'm trying to establish is, at what point did you become suspicious of their appearance?
Oh, that was just afterwards.
Just after what?
Well, after they came in the flat and started acting daft.
Oh yes, yes, Mr. Edwards.
Now, Mrs. Warburton, I think it's right that just before Christmas last year you attended a number of identity parades, but you weren't able to pick out the 2 men who were in your flat that day.
Well, I couldn't, could I? Seeing they were in disguise.
No one's criticising you, Mrs. Warburton. Now, do go on, please. Tell us what happened after they told you they were the jolly swagmen.
The man with the beard brought out a rope and he tied me to a chair. And the Pakistani came at me with a gag in one hand and some straws in the other and said, "Now, which is it to be, suck up or shut up?" And I said, "Don't gag me, I'm asthmatic." And the Pakistani said, "Good, we'll hear your last wheeze."
Did they make any other remarks like that?
Well, yes, I said to them, "Why do you do this thing to helpless old people?" And the other one said, "It's better than working."
Yeah. What was the white man doing at this time?
Oh, he was ransacking the room, but it didn't stop him making every nasty remark.
Well, can you give us an example?
Well, my family photographs. He tore them up and threw them in the grate, saying, "You won't need a family history anymore. From today, your history is all used up."
Did he say what he was looking for?
Well, he kept asking me where there was money and valuables, and he said if I didn't tell him, he'd break every tooth in my head.
But you didn't tell him.
No, but he kept smashing every vase on the mantelpiece until he came to the little pot with the gas money in. And then he said, "We've struck gold at last. Now we've found the coin. Where are the notes?" Well, I said I hadn't any.
And then what happened?
Well, the Pakistani told him to go into the bedroom and see if there was anything there. So the other one said if there was anything there, he would sniff it out. And the other one said, "You'd better look in the potty, but whatever you do, don't come back with it."
Yes, well, presumably they thought that was a funny remark. Can you remember anything more that was said?
Oh, well, there were all those remarks about Percy.
Percy, your pet canary.
Yes, the remarks about Percy was the worst of the lot. He went to the cage,
Sorry, which one?
the Pakistani, the joker,
Yes.
and he said, "Is this a stool pigeon? We don't want any witnesses. We've got to stop you singing."
Anything else?
Yes, he said you shouldn't keep canaries at room temperature. It's too hot. They need the cold.
So what did he do?
Well, he gagged me. And then he went out into the kitchen with Percy in his hand. And he come back in a moment without Percy, saying, "He's much cooler in the fridge, keeping the chicken company."
And did you believe him?
I thought it was a silly joke. I thought that even men like that couldn't do such a thing to Percy.
Yes. And what was the other man doing during all this?
Oh, well, he was in the next room. You know, I could hear him smashing and crashing about.
How long was it before he returned?
Oh, just a few minutes. He was quick about it.
Quick?
Yeah.
About pillaging your room?
Yes, and he took my best holiday suitcase to put my valuables in.
Right. Now, was there anything else about their appearance which you can remember that you haven't told us so far?
The gloves.
What about the gloves?
The Pakistani wore white gloves, and the other man wore black gloves.
Well, now, will you look at these gloves, please? They're exhibits 3 and 4, my lord.
Oh, yes. They're the ones. I'll never forget Percy's little yellow body in that white hand.
So one wore white gloves and the other black.
Yes, that's right.
Mrs. Warburton, what did these 2 men do before they left the flat?
Oh, well, they took the cloth from my mouth.
They ungagged you?
Yeah, well, I was breathing so badly.
Yes, I'm sure you were. And then they left?
Not before making their last joke.
Which was?
Not a squawk out of you for the next half hour, else we'll pop you in the fridge with Percy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Take your time, please, Mrs. Warburton.
Oh, dear.
Compose yourself. Do you feel able to go on?
Yes, yes.
Right, now tell me, please, did you manage to get free?
No. No, I banged with my feet on the floor, and Mrs. Hancock from down below, she come and set me free and give me a cup of tea.
But how long was it before Mrs. Hancock came?
Oh, 2 hours. You see, she was out cleaning.
Yes. And what was the first thing you did when you got free?
I couldn't move. I was stiff all over. And I asked Mrs. Hancock to go into the kitchen and look into the fridge for me quickly.
And what did she find?
Percy, frozen stiff with the cold.
What do you get when you keep a canary in a fridge?
What do you get when you keep a canary in a fridge?
Feathers in your ice cream.
Mrs. Warburton, I know you must be tired and under some strain, so I won't detain you very long. Now, on that tray we have items which are found in the defendant's possession. Is that watch yours?
No, no, that's not mine.
Or that photograph?
No, I should think not.
Are those books yours?
No, I'm sure they are not.
Now, I think I'm right in saying, Mrs. Warburton, that none of the items that were stolen from your flat on the morning in question, in fact, is exhibited here in court today.
No.
I mean, to be specific, your pair of Japanese vases, circa
You mean my
1890. I beg your pardon?
You mean my mother's vases?
Yes. Are they there?
No.
Are your husband's medals there?
No. And he won them all for gallantry.
Your silver christening spoons?
No.
In fact, none of your missing property is there.
Well, the police said they were bound to turn up.
Yes, but in fact it hasn't turned up, has it, Mrs. Warburton?
Looks as if I shall go on waiting forever, doesn't it?
Yes. Now, about the beard and spectacles. Now, you seem quite definite that that is the beard in question.
Well, you don't see many beards like that about.
Now, in your statement to the police, you described the man as having a black beard. A full set, as they say in the Navy.
Yes?
Well, the beard that was taken from my client's van was, in fact, a very dark brown. It had no moustache and was flecked with grey, yet you positively identified it here in court as the one worn in your flat.
Well, that's as black as you'll ever get.
Mrs. Warburton, I put it to you that you never thought for one moment that the men were in disguise.
Well,
Further, I put it to you that you never allowed 2 men in disguise inside your flat.
well, I only thought about that afterwards, when they came in the flat.
Mrs. Warburton, I suggest that you never thought they were in disguise, that you thought they were, in fact, a genuine Pakistani and a man with a genuine beard.
But I'm convinced that they were in disguise.
You are now. But were you then? I mean, you made no mention of disguise in the magistrate's court, did you?
Well, I'm sure it passed through my mind, but I suppose in all the confusion I must have forgotten it.
Why? I mean, why did you think of it then? Was there makeup running, perhaps? Was one losing his beard? Were their wigs slipping?
The gloves, they wore gloves.
Yes, but, I mean, any pair of thieves might wear gloves, mightn't they, to ensure they didn't leave any fingerprints, be the Pakistani, Chinese, smooth-shaven, bearded, or whatever?
Oh, I don't know all that much about crime.
No, obviously. Very well, now let's deal with the gloves. Exhibits 3, 4, and 8, please. Now, we'll concentrate on the gloves, because you say you remembered these most clearly, as Percy was submitted to such torment before your very eyes. Which pair of gloves are they, Mrs. Warburton?
Those ones.
Can I have the gloves, please, Usher?
Where are we going, Mr. Canty?
Well, with your lordship's permission, I will demonstrate. Now, he was holding Percy in his hand. He was holding the bird tightly, like this, tormenting without feeling. Is that the glove?
Yes, that's the glove. That's the glove.
This glove, Mrs. Warburton, is the property of a Mr. Roach and was allegedly stolen from his flat after the events that took place in your flat. And for the record, the color happens to be of a beige hue, not white.
You are Gordon Roach of 22B Acacia Dwellings.
I am, sir.
You live alone at that address?
Yes, sir, since my wife died 3 years back.
On the afternoon of December the 13th last year, did you receive a visit at your flat?
Yes, I was visited by 2 persons.
At what time?
At precisely 2:30, sir. I had just finished listening to Gardner's question time.
Are you a gardener, Mr. Roach?
Oh, I specialise, Your Honour.
Oh, really, I wouldn't have thought there was much room for specialisation in a block of flats, even with a horticultural name like Acacia Dwellings, Mr. N?
Yes, indeed, sir, but I specialise in the small species that can be put into pots or boxes. I'm something of an expert in the culture of euphorbias and dicotyledons.
Oh, very impressive. Would you care to translate?
Latex succulents, commonly known as cacti.
Ah, we live and learn. Yes, Mr. Roach.
So you received a call on that day from 2 people.
Yes, sir.
Who came first?
The person I took to be a woman, sir.
Yes, so this person you took to be a woman called at the door. How did she introduce herself?
She said that she was the area representative for the Fulchester Wine Company and that I had been selected as the lucky wine taster for Acacia Dwellings.
And what did you say to that?
I said, how much is my luck going to cost me today?
But she went on to explain the purpose of her visit.
Yes, sir.
Which was?
She said I had been chosen to taste their new season's brand of hocks.
I see. So you invited the lady in?
Well, she let herself in.
You mean she pushed you aside?
No, sir. She said my assistant will be here shortly with the samples, and she was in.
I see. And did the assistant follow up immediately?
A few minutes elapsed, sir.
In which time the woman talked to you?
Yes, she chatted to me for a few minutes, and then the assistant turned up. I was flabbergasted, somewhat surprised to see that he was a Pakistani. I mean, they're not supposed to drink, are they? But the wine looked good, so I let that go.
Right. Then what happened?
Well, they laid the wine samples in front of me, all right.
Was it the man or the woman who laid out the samples?
It was the Pakistani, sir.
Yes. And so at the time, it looked like a genuine wine-tasting session?
Oh, yes, he'd unscrewed the bottles and all. They were only miniatures, but there were plenty of them, and it smelt like wine, all right.
Yes. What happened next?
Well, just as he'd done that, the woman went and locked the door. I knew straight away that I was being done.
And then?
The Pakistani went behind me, and I felt a rope around my arms.
You were bound to the chair?
Yes.
And what was the woman doing?
She was ransacking the place, throwing photographs about, looking for likely hiding places for money.
Did she find anything? Any money stacked away?
Oh, I was too clever for that. We'd been warned about leaving money in, obvious places.
Yes, indeed. So, their first search was unsuccessful. Tell me, what was their attitude after that?
Oh, very frivolous, sir.
In what way frivolous?
Jokey. Well, they had these wines arrayed in front of me that I was supposed to be tasting, and the woman said, now let's have the tasting session. Some chance, I said, with my hands tied. Then she got hold of a bottle and lifted it up and put it under my nose and said, would you recommend that? I nodded, and blow me, she drank it straight off. You're right, she said, what a judge of wines. And then the Pakistani had to join in, didn't he? Would you say that was a good vintage, he said, but I ignored him.
And how long did this sort of behaviour go on?
Well, as soon as she'd finished her wine sample, the woman said she was going to look about to see what she could sniff out.
Excuse me, are you sure that's the expression she used? Sniff out?
Oh, yes, because the package said, don't get your nose around the cacti.
I see. And this was characteristic of their manner?
Oh, they were at it all the time.
At it?
You know, joking around.
In what way?
Well, like the woman said, are you giving him the gag? And the packy rapped back, give him a good gag and he'll steal the show. It was then that I knew that I was in the hands of the jolly Swagmen.
My lord, I really must object to this. This is
Mr.
pure
Roach,
speculation.
you must not assume that the persons who entered your flat were members of a gang who had carried out robberies of a similar nature.
Yes, but you don't understand. The jolly Swagmen are well known in our district.
I understand perfectly well, Mr. Roach, but this court is not concerned with your assumptions, only with what you can tell us about this specific offence. Now, do you understand?
Well, yes, if you're not interested in what I was thinking.
We're not interested in your private thoughts. We're only interested in what you saw or heard. Yes?
Now, Mr. Roach, you were telling us that the woman said she was going to look around to see if there was anything she could sniff out.
Yes, sir.
Do please continue.
She then went into the next room, leaving the Pakistani with me.
Right. Now, did anything occur to you at this time?
Yes. It suddenly dawned on me that they were Lovelace and Levis.
Do you know the two accused?
Yes, I'd seen them a couple of times at the club.
Which club was this?
The Bluebell, sir.
Yes. And did you say who you thought they were?
Yes, I said, I know you, you're Lovelace and Levis. Come on, stop kidding about. And he said, I never heard of them. We're the Jolly Swagmen, if you want to know.
He actually said, we are the Jolly Swagmen.
Yes.
Yes. And did he do anything while his colleague was out of the room?
He put his feet up and started sampling the wines one after the other. Oh, and then he did a sort of a conjuring trick. He had these white gloves on, and he picked up a bottle and a glass very carefully and poured half the wine in the glass like this.
You mean as if he was doing an act?
Well, I must say, he looked like a professional. He poured half the wine in the glass and he said, are you looking? I nodded and he said, you're not, you know. Then he poured the rest of the wine into the glass and turned it upside down over my prize succulent. And nothing came out. It was a trick. Now, I thought afterwards...
Never mind what you thought.
Right, tell us, please, Mr. Roach, how long was the woman out of the room?
Oh, a few minutes, sir.
Just a few minutes?
Yes, and then she came back with one of my suitcases.
Yes, that's Exhibit 5, please. Now, would you please tell me, Mr. Roach, is that the suitcase in question?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, did the Pakistani mention that you were aware of their identity?
Oh, yes, sir. He said, this joker thinks that we're Lovelace and Levis.
Yes, and what did the woman say?
Well, she said I wouldn't like to love him, and I'm not going to leave him with anything except what he stands up in.
Yes. Now, did anything strike you about the woman?
Yes, just that she wasn't a real woman.
Well, what was there about her appearance that made you think that?
Oh, it wasn't the appearance. The makeup was clever enough. It was his manner.
What was it about his or her manner?
It was vulgar, my lord. Very vulgar for a woman.
Well, you wouldn't expect ladylike behaviour from a woman who just entered your flat under pretence and proceeded to rob you, would you?
No, I suppose not, sir.
Well, this vulgarity, Mr. Roach, what form did it take?
Well, she'd put some of my books into that suitcase, and she started making obscene remarks about my collection of hot stuff, as she called it.
And by hot stuff, you're referring to the literature exhibited on the table there?
Yes, well, I'm a serious collector of specialist books.
Quite so. Now, can you recognise here in this court either or both of those intruders?
I recognise those two men who do an act dressing up at our club.
No. We're not talking about the club you visited at the moment, Mr. Roach. We're talking about your flat. Now, is there anyone in this court whom you recognise as having been in your flat that afternoon?
Well, I told you it struck me it was them.
Yes, but Mr. Roach, the question is, do you recognise anyone in this court as the persons who entered your flat?
No. They're too clever for me.
If we were that clever, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Well, if we're not cleverer than this lot, we could be sitting here for the next 10 years, couldn't we?
My Lord President will assist if I make it clear from the outset that my clients do not deny that they were the couple who entered Mr. Roach's flat on the afternoon of December the 13th, and that they did indeed remove those exhibits. But they had nothing more criminal in mind than an elaborate practical joke.
The cases in Fulchester Crown Court are fictitious, but the jury consists of members of the general public. The Queen against Lovelace and Levis will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Lovelace and Levis, two club and pub entertainers and self-employed jobbing builders, are accused of gaining entry by false pretences into the homes of two old-age pensioners, assaulting them and stealing goods and money. Just before the case was adjourned yesterday, their defending counsel made the unexpected announcement that his clients did not deny entering the flat of Mr. Roach, but that they had nothing more criminal in mind than an elaborate practical joke. The case resumes today with counsel for the defence about to cross-examine Mr. Roach.
Now, Mr. Roach, you know the defendants view not as love us and leave us. A regular act at the Bluebells Club, a club which you yourself regularly frequent.
Yes, they stand-up comics. They do a turn.
Is it a good turn, Mr. Roach?
Some like them.
Do you like it?
Is it all right in sport?
But it's not to your taste.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you prefer some other type of act.
I don't know what sort of act I'm supposed to like, but they're all right.
What is the style of their act? I mean, can you describe it to us?
Song and patter men.
How do they appear? I mean, how are they dressed?
Well, one always appears as a Pakistani, and the other plays the other parts. A housewife, a nurse, all sorts of women's parts. He's always in drag.
Oh. Is that what you object to in the act?
I object to the fact that it's a rotten act. It's offensive. I'm not casting any aspersions on men who dress as women. But I belong to the old school in the merchant marine, where a woman was a woman, and a man who dresses a woman is usually a bit of a poofter and gets the boot.
And here we have a man making a living out of it. Dear, dear. Yes, well, what else do you object to?
Well, they're not funny. I pay £5 a year subscription to that club, and they're always being got back by special request. Well, I've never requested them.
Is there anything about the style of their act which you dislike?
Yes. They involve the audience in their act. They get down off the stage, pick you out, get hold of you, lead you back up there and make a fool of you. You just can't win.
Has this happened to you?
Yes, it has, and I didn't like it.
Why?
They got me on the stage, and as the club asked topless barmaids, they said they were going to do a topless dance. And before I knew it, my shirt was off my back, and the one in drag sidled up to me and began making rude remarks about my build.
How do you mean exactly?
Well, he was rubbing his falsies up against my chest and saying things like that. Oh, those are a bit feeble, Roachy. I'll have to sell you some of my hormone creams, things like that.
Did the audience find that funny?
Oh, they were falling about. But they always like to see someone made a fool of when they've had a bit of drink.
Did they say to you, we'd like to come up and see your prickly pear sometime?
The woman said we might be able to get a few tips.
Oh, what do they mean by that?
I don't know, but I was surprised how much they knew about my personal habits.
Oh, could you explain that further, Mr. Roach?
In everything they said, they seemed to know about my personal habits, where I lived, what my hobbies were, things like that, and I never told them.
You mean they made a study of you?
They knew more about me than I knew myself.
Did they tell you why they'd made this study of you?
They said to the audience, we'd like to know who we're setting up.
Ah, what did you take it they meant by that?
I don't know, but I soon found out.
Yes, I see. Yes, Mr.
In fact, Mr. Roach, you expressed strong views about that part of the act, did you not?
Some acts you like, some you don't.
Well, on the night of December the 12th, you described their act as being, and I quote, vulgar, offensive, and in bad taste, did you not?
All right.
Yes or no, please, Mr. Roach?
Oh, yes, I suppose so, if you say so.
I don't say so, you said so. Now, they referred to you on that night as an easy touch, did they not?
Yes, they did.
And what did you understand them to mean by that?
I don't understand what you mean.
I suggest to you that they were telling you that they could get into your flat at any time they wanted and take away what they wanted without any problem.
Oh, that was typical of their brand of humour.
But let's make it quite clear. They did say this thing to you.
Look, I was on the stage without his shirt being made a fool of. You can't expect me to remember everything that was said to me.
And I'm going to suggest to you, Mr. Roach, that they followed up this conversation later at the bar when they said to you in all good humour that they could strip you down to, quote, to your centre fold, to use their expression. They would peel you like a banana.
Well, they might have done, but by that time they pushed me so far I wouldn't listen.
But they said you deserved to have it done to you as well, didn't they?
It's like them to make remarks like that. They're always making fools of people.
But did they make a remark like that?
Not in my hearing.
Well, can we at least confirm that there was some talk about this type of intrusion?
You mean about the Jolly Swagmen?
I mean about this type of crime, whereby intruders gain admittance to old people's dwellings by posing as someone on business.
But there'd been that sort of talk all the time because of the gang who were going about doing it. They were called the Jolly Swagmen by the paper.
Now, if I may raise a few points about the behaviour of Mr. Lovelace and Mr. Levis inside your flat, having admitted themselves that they were the intruders. And for the information of the court, let me explain that Mr. Lovelace was in the Pakistani guise and Mr. Levis was the lady of the team.
I hope they're proud of it, because I'm not.
Now, Mr. Roach, they did not inflict on you any physical violence, did they?
They tied me to a chair.
But actually, Mr. Lovelace asked you to sit in the chair and to put your hands behind your backs, and all he did was to loosely tie a cord around them.
He tied it quite tight.
But it was loose enough for you to get free in 10 minutes after they left the flat, wasn't it?
I'm a bit of a specialist in knots.
Oh?
From my time in the Merchant Marine.
I see. No undue violence was used against your person.
No, I suppose not.
No marks, no bruising, no cuts.
My wrist was smarting.
So, apart from your smarting wrists, no injury was sustained. Now, Mr. Roach, you, too, keep a pet, do you not?
Yes, I do.
And nothing was done to your goldfish, was there?
No.
I mean, there was no threats that if you didn't disclose where you kept your money, the goldfish would be harmed?
No, sir.
Now, we've heard a lot about your very special cacti collection.
Only because I was asked. I don't boast.
But it is very precious to you.
Oh, some are very unique for indoor cultures.
Were any of these damaged or even touched by the intruders?
They wouldn't dare.
Nevertheless, dare or not, they didn't injure your collection. They respected your prize specimens. Now, when you skillfully untied yourself from your chair, what did you do next?
I went to see what they'd taken.
And what they took was confined to the exhibits on the table here in front of you, including your collection of erotica. You see, they took these things, Mr. Roach, as part of a practical joke, with the full intention of returning them to you at the club. Didn't they? Thank you, Mr. Roach.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud.
Is that our treasure?
Switch the lights off and I'll tell you.
She looks quite contained when she's dressed.
When they discover she's topless, that judge will ask for an identity parade.
What is your name?
Tricia Dibdin.
Patricia Dibdin. And where do you live?
36 Station Parade, Fulchester.
You work at the Bluebells Club.
Yes.
What's your job there?
I'm a barmaid.
Do you wear a uniform for the job?
Do you call those uniform?
I'd say there's a definite list to the left.
We wear a striped apron.
And that constitutes your uniform?
Yes, sir. All the girls wear them.
Well, can you describe it more fully?
Why this interest in the uniform, Mr. Edgar? Surely a barmaid is a barmaid.
Yes, well, my lord, I feel Miss Dibdin is being a trifle demure about this because she is, in fact, one of the Bluebell Club's topless barmaids, which would seem to have a direct relevance to the matter in hand.
Have you ever had the matter in hand?
Oh, do me a favour, you'd have to be King Kong.
Yes.
Bob.
Miss Dibdin, is it true, then, that at work you don't wear anything above the waist?
Yes, Your Honour.
Or isn't that rather cumbersome, serving the drinks?
Oh, no, we're taught how to do the bunny bounce.
The bunny bounce?
Yes. You see, you serve the drinks on the tray with a slight bend of the knee, putting the glasses down like this.
Yes.
Now, Miss Dibdin, tell me, do you recognise the defendants as colleagues?
Hardly colleagues. They're part-timers. I'm full-time.
Can have you full-time.
Yeah, and anyone else can have her overtime.
Red, white and blue or meals on?
Oh, look, they're at it again, even in here.
Just a minute, please, Mr. Edgar. If there is another interruption from the dock, I shall have you both removed from the court, yes?
Just now, Miss Dibdin, you said they're at it again. What did you mean by that?
Well, they use the position on stage to be cruel.
In what way, cruel?
Oh, I could make fun of them, but I don't. They laugh at me.
How?
As part of their routine.
They incorporate you in the act?
Yes, it's him. When he dresses as a woman, he has a malicious spite against normal women.
Well, what form does this spite take?
Well, you see, I'm serving drinks while their act's on stage, and it's club policy that I'm topless. Well, the customers like it. But they've tipped the lighting men to turn the spotlight on me, so suddenly I'm in the limelight. Well, you can imagine the remarks.
Well, I can't imagine at all.
Well, think of the lowest form of wit to do with bouncers or knockers, and nothing's too low for those two.
And when those two are out...
There's nothing lower.
Right.
Oh.
Remove the prisoners. Take them down.
The judge stuck the needle.
He swallowed the lot, hook and all.
Yeah, we could do with someone like him in the audience.
You may return in order to give evidence.
Oh, he wants us back for the Star Sport.
Oh, yeah. Don't talk about us behind our backs.
Yes?
Now, Miss Dibdin, will you please tell the court what was the nature of their act that evening?
Well, I can't remember the jokes. My mind isn't a mud trap.
No, I just mean their routine.
Their routine is always the same. Stale jokes, freshened up. If I've heard them once, I've heard them 1,000 times.
You wouldn't call it bright or new material.
Well, between breasts and buttocks. You have the full range of their humour.
You find their act distasteful.
Well, yes, I do. But I work there.
Yeah.
Don't have to smile, but I can't boo them off either.
So why was it so offensive to you?
Well, Lovelace lusts after women from the stage and Levis mocks them.
Cruelly?
Well, cruel enough for my boyfriend to threaten him.
Yes. Now, was anybody else the butt of their humour on the night of December the 12th?
Yes, one of our regular customers, Mr. Roach.
Did he seem embarrassed by them?
Ooh, outraged more like.
Did they come down to the bar after their act?
Well, once they've had the limelight, they're very loath to leave it.
How do you mean exactly?
Well, they came down from the stage to the bar for a drink, still in costume. Levis in drag and Lovelace in blacking.
Blacking?
Pakistani makeup.
Yes. And was Mr. Roach present at the time?
Well, they wouldn't leave him alone. Not content with having made a fool of him from the stage, they went to join him at his table.
I see. And what was the topic of their conversation?
The Jolly Swagmen.
The Jolly Swagmen. Yeah. Now, did you hear the Miss Dibden make any directly threatening remarks to Mr. Roach?
They said they were going to strip him down to his centre fold and peel him like a banana.
Yes. Did they seem to know about the contents of Mr. Roach's flat?
Well, actually, it's quite a strong talking point at the club. He's supposed to have a tidy library of the hard stuff.
What's the hard stuff?
Well, I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be very pornographic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not that I blame him. I mean, the barmaids aren't topless to improve the beer.
Well, did Lovelace and Levis make any comment about this collection?
Yes, they said it wasn't only his mind that needed cleaning out, it was his bottom drawer as well, and they were going to see to it.
Thank you, Miss Dibden.
Miss Dibden, Lovelace and Levis do not make a living out of being a club act, do they?
Not with that material, they wouldn't.
So, in effect, they're largely amateurs who do it for the love of it.
I think they do it because they love themselves.
Do they do any other engagements for the love of it? I mean, amateur engagements?
Well, they like to put themselves up as do-gooders.
Oh, come now, Miss Dibden. Is it not true that they frequently give free performances for old people's homes and local hospitals?
They're like a captive audience.
Is it not a fact that on the 2nd of December they're at St. Mary's Hospital doing a free performance?
Well, I don't know. I'm not the booking agent.
Well, let me refresh your memory, Miss Dibden. You were actually there.
Was I?
When they were giving... Yes, you were. When they were giving a performance in the geriatric ward.
I didn't know my movements were being traced.
Now, look, is it not true that you have a fiancé who works at St. Mary's Hospital?
It is true, yes.
And you often pick him up from the afternoon shift?
Yes, sometimes.
And, in fact, on that very afternoon, you'd gone along to do just that.
Yes, I may have done.
Now, will you please tell the court your fiancé's name?
Look, I don't see what this has got to do with those two,
What
sir.
is the relevance of this, Mr. Kenton?
The answer to this question will, I hope, my lord, show the relevance of it.
Very well. Miss Dibden, please answer the question.
Mohammed Khan.
And Mr. Khan is an immigrant Pakistani.
He's been here 5 years.
Now, to get back to that day when Messrs. Lovelace and Levis were doing their act in the ward. Mr. Khan entered, didn't he, wheeling a trolley?
Yes.
And that was the perfect opportunity for Lovelace and Levis to incorporate the audience into their entertainment.
Well, if you call that entertainment, I don't. Mohammed was doing his job, pushing in this old person on a trolley, and they started.
And they needled him in an amusing manner.
Well, if you can call it amusing. I mean, that was an old person completely helpless on that trolley. And Mohammed was trying to get this old person into bed. And they said, don't worry, love, he's a fully qualified doctor. He's cut hair in Calcutta, pulled teeth in Bombay, and skinned crocodiles up the Ganges.
I see. Well, was the audience amused by this?
They're old people. They're senile. They'd laugh it out, anything.
So the wit directed at your boyfriend was wasted on them.
But it wasn't wasted on him. He's very sensitive. It wasn't wasted on me. I had to witness his humiliation.
Did your fiancé defend himself against these sallies?
Well, how could he? He was doing his job, helping this old lady into bed. And I went and I turned back the covers. And they said, don't worry, love, your honour's intact. His girlfriends arrived just in time.
Now, Miss Dibden, to return to December the 12th when Lovelace and Levis were performing at the Bluebell Club. They put Mr. Roach through it, I believe, on stage.
Yes, it was terrible.
Was he discomfited?
Well, they had the whole audience laughing at him, which was their way.
Nevertheless, they did come down to join him for a drink afterwards at the bar.
Rubbing it in.
Were they still in costume?
Yes.
And what did Mr. Roach have to say about that?
He said that the stage was the place for actors and not the bar.
And what did the defendants answer to that?
Well, one after another, as always. I mean, one never said anything without the other topping it. Levis said, all the world's a stage, Mr. Roach. And Lovelace said, quick as a flash. Well, the next one leaves in 5 minutes. Be under it. Pathetic.
Did they make any reference to the jolly Swagmen?
Yes, but Mr. Roach said that no con men would get past him. And they said, oh, come on, Roach, you'd let anybody in who was giving you something for nothing, be it Plymouth Brethren, Salvation Army, or Meals on Wheels.
Miss Dibdin, I suggested all this was done in a joking manner. I was no serious threat at all.
Well, that may well be, but when Mr. Roach had gone, I heard them talking about it and saying it was time he was done.
Yes, they were discussing it.
Yes, but they weren't discussing it freely. They were whispering, and I heard them.
But please, Miss Dibdin, these men are performers, and they know when they have an audience, whether they be whispering or not.
Miss Dibdin, was there any specific mention made by Lovelace and Leavis of getting into Mr. Roach's flat?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear anything quite definite that sounded as though they were in earnest?
Yes. They said Mr. Roach lived alone, and he was a spy-hole man, and he must have been worth a bit, the way he drank wine.
Thank you, Miss Dibdin.
You must understand that I have permitted you to return, not so much out of consideration for you, as out of respect for the well-tried principle that an accused should only be excluded from his own trial in a case of absolute necessity. I trust you've cooled off. If you haven't, and if you can't behave yourselves properly, then I shall unhesitatingly send you down to the cells again. Now, do you understand?
Yes, my
You
lord.
will sit down.
Couldn't do it without us. The show fell flat.
Yeah, the jury fell asleep.
Police Constable Dennis Clough, Fulchester Police Mobile Division, my lord.
Police Constable Clough, will you please tell the court what happened on the afternoon of December the 13th at approximately 2:50 p.m. outside the Ball in Hand public house?
May I use my notes, my lord? Yeah. I was on patrol along Curzon Drive when I spotted a van parked outside the public house called the Ball in Hand. I noticed the van seemed unroadworthy, and so parking my own vehicle, I went to inspect it.
And did you make a list of the deficiencies?
Yes, sir, I did. And this was just the result of a cursory inspection. 1, a bald back tyre. 2, a loose front bumper. 3, the springs seemed to be overloaded. 4, a smashed headlight.
And what did you do then?
I proceeded inside the public bar of the Ball in Hand to inquire if the vehicle's owner were there. I asked the landlord to read out the registration number DLU940C, but no one responded. As I left the public house, I saw the defendants run towards the van and drive away smartly.
Did you give chase?
I did, sir.
And did you get the impression they were trying to evade you?
Yes, sir, I did.
What made you think that?
Well, they knew they couldn't outrun my Panda, so they used back doubles and side streets.
For how long?
Until their tyre blew out, about 5 or 6 minutes.
You then approached them?
Yes, sir.
And had a conversation with them?
Yes, sir. Lovelace said, "Have you got a spare jack?" Jack. I asked them for their documents, which they were unable to produce. I then became suspicious and searched the vehicle. And in the back I found items of makeup, female apparel, empty wine bottles, a crate of milk bottles, and a suitcase of various items.
Did you make a list of the contents of the suitcase?
Yes, sir. 1 pocket watch gold, 1 pocket watch silver, 2 silver picture frames, 1 Wedgwood vase, £8 worth of postage stamps, a collection of pornographic material, including 3 bundles of erotic postcards.
And was there anything special about the postcards that attracted your attention?
Yes, sir. There were half a dozen copies of a photograph of the topless barmaid at the Bluebells Club. I understand it's a publicity photograph, my lord, available at the club.
And are those articles the exhibits on the table?
Yes, sir, they are.
Did you ask them how they came by these items?
Yes, sir.
And how did they reply?
Well, they replied as they did throughout my questioning, in quick succession, like a comedy partnership. Lovelace said, "I'll say nothing without my lawyer's consent." And Levy said, "I'll do nothing without my lawyer's wife's consent." And they both said, "Bring on the briefs."
Yes. Well, did you ask them about the makeup and female clothing in the back of the van?
Yes, sir. Lovelace adopted a Pakistani accent and said, "I am a fully affiliated member of the Illegal Immigrants Masonic Lodge, and that is my regalia."
Is there such a bona fide institution as a Pakistani's Masonic Lodge?
No, my lord. It's obviously one of their lines of patter.
It isn't very funny, is it?
Constable Clough, did they answer any of your questions seriously?
Not until they were formally charged. And then, at that time, Levy said, "It started as a joke, so we are treating it as a joke. We meant to give all that property back to Roach in the club later."
What was their attitude to the charge concerning Mrs. Warburton?
My lord, they completely denied all knowledge of this crime.
Well, they didn't treat it as a joke this time.
No, my lord. That straightened their faces.
Yes, Mr.
Constable Clough, do the defendants live together?
They share a flat in Longton Avenue, number 62.
And did you go to this flat?
I did, sir.
And what did you find there?
I found amongst the old theatrical bills and posters on the walls an extensive selection of press cuttings relating to the activities of a pair of criminals widely known as the Jolly Swagmen.
My lord, I must object. This has absolutely no bearing on the charges before the court.
Mr. Edgar, have these press cuttings got anything to do with your case?
Well, if you'll allow me just one more question, my lord, I'm sure I can enlighten you.
Oh, very well, let's get on.
Constable Clough, was there anything about those press cuttings which gave you cause for further investigation?
Yes, sir. Many of them were ringed and dated, and several of them coincided with their theatrical engagements.
My lord, I submit that this case has nothing to do with press cuttings or previous engagements. And this evidence can only lead to dangerous speculation, prejudicial to my clients.
Yes, I am inclined to agree with you, Mr. Canty. Now, did you find anything else in the flat of any significance?
No, my lord.
Thank you, Constable Clough.
Constable Clough, did the defendants at any time categorically deny that they had entered Mr. Roach's flat and misappropriated certain of his possessions?
They were very evasive and jocular.
Yes, we've heard about that, but did they actually deny their presence in his flat?
No.
No. In fact, as soon as there was any question of a formal charge, they both admitted it quite freely, did they not?
They said it were a joke.
Yes. An elaborate practical joke that misfired.
According to them.
Now, is it not true that they both very seriously and vehemently denied that they had robbed Mrs. Warburton with violence?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Constable.
The cases in Fulchester Crown Court are fictitious, but the jury consists of members of the general public. The Queen against Lovelace and Levis will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. Lovelace and Levis, two club and pub entertainers and self-employed jobbing builders, are accused of gaining entry by false pretences into the homes of two old-age pensioners, assaulting them and stealing goods and money. Their defence is that they did not commit one of the crimes, and the other, at the house of Mr. Roach, was a harmless practical joke.
You are Albert Lovelace of 62 Longton Avenue, Fulchester.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, Mr. Lovelace, you enjoy a certain reputation as part of a stand-up double act, do you?
Well, we're more often asked to sit down than stand up, but yes, we are billed as a double act.
But to make a living, you're both partners in a building concern.
Well, we try to keep that out of the script.
What does that mean exactly?
We don't talk about it. We're not affiliated.
Do I understand, Lovelace, that you are engaged in a business without being qualified in all aspects of that business?
Well, we can pick up most things as we go along. It beats working.
I should have thought that in building it was essential that the customer should be assured that your work was more than picked up, wouldn't you?
Well, nothing's fallen down yet, my lord.
I hope it doesn't, for your sake, yes?
Now, is it true to say that your club act merely supplements an already satisfactory income from your building concern?
Yes, out of the overalls into the grease paint. It's good for the ego, if not for the skin.
And the grease paint you use is very often of a dark hue because you impersonate a Pakistani immigrant.
Oh, yes, yes. That is the honor that befalls me after working hours.
Yes. Now, we've heard about your charitable works. Now, will you tell us, please, and the jury about that?
Yes, well, we like playing old folks' homes, hospitals, mothers and fathers, doctors and nurses.
Playing old folks' homes is a very different proposition from robbing old people with violence, isn't it?
Well, some people would call our act robbery with violence. We do it for laughs, not loot.
Do you know anything about this lady, Mrs. Warburton of Blackfriars Mansions?
Not a thing, God bless her.
Or her photographs?
Not a snap.
Or indeed her canary?
Not a cheep.
In fact, you deny categorically that you invaded her premises and robbed her with violence.
Oh, I couldn't do a thing like that. I mean, my old mum's over 80.
Now, if we can turn now to the evening of December the 12th. Can you cast your mind back?
Yes, it's back.
Now, after your act, you went down and you had a drink with your partner and with Mr. Roach.
Yes, well, we crept up behind him. He couldn't very well refuse.
Why did you go for a drink with Mr. Roach?
Oh, well, we'd had a bit of fun out of him. Thought we'd smooth him over.
Was he easily smoothed over?
Like a hedgehog. He wasn't very happy.
And what did he say?
Well, he tore our act to shreds, and as we were still in party clothes, he made a few nasty remarks about my poor impersonation of a Pakistani and Levis being in drag.
And what did he say about Mr. Levis's female impersonation?
Well, he said when he was in the Mercantile Marines, men like Levis were whipped at the mast.
And what did Mr. Levis say to that?
Where can I sign up?
I see. And he made disparaging remarks about your Pakistani impersonation.
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said, it's no use trying to curry favour with me. The chapati's all over my friend.
So you didn't take offence at these remarks?
Not really. The whole world loves us. Roach is just a voice crying in the wilderness.
And did Mr. Roach's remarks have any effect on you?
Yes, well, I turned to Linda and I said...
Just a minute. Linda? Have we heard from a Linda, Mr. Kenty?
Well, my lord,
I'm sorry, my lord. Linda Levis, my partner in the act.
Oh, Linda Levis is a stage name.
Yes, ma'am. I call her Linda when she's in drag. When she's in overalls, I call her Fred.
And what did you say to your partner?
I said, this sourpuss needs a lesson and we could do it.
Well, this sourpuss is hardly a kind expression, is it? You did seem to treat Mr. Roach as a butt for your practical jokes.
It's one in every club, my lord.
Mr. Lovelace, Mr. Roach has given evidence that when you and Levis were in his flat, you told him you were the Jolly Swagmen. Is that true?
Yes.
Are you the Jolly Swagmen?
No.
And why then did you say it?
He was about to rubble us. So we threw in the Swagman gag and he swallowed it.
So it was a joke?
Aye, it were a joke.
Thank you, Mr. Lovelace.
Mr. Lovelace, you asked the court to accept that your blatant trespass on Mr. Roach, your subsequent attack upon him, your removal of his property, were all part of a hilarious joke.
Oh, not hilarious. We're not ambitious.
I must say I don't find that even mildly amusing.
Oh, well, we can't win them all.
Win what? Jokes or crimes?
Audiences.
Well, you must say you seem to have studied this audience, Mr. Roach, very thoroughly, where he's lived, his habits and so on.
Oh, we just kept our ears open.
Did you study his health? Did you know he had a weak heart and could have died of the experience?
Got a few jokes down us, never a customer, touch wood.
I suggest you didn't care. It was a professional risk you were willing to take.
He didn't look as though a joke would kill him. I mean, you'll never see him die laughing.
Do you keep your ears open concerning the movements and habits of your audience? Did you, for example, keep your ears open concerning the habits of Mrs. Warburton?
Never knew the lady.
Nor anything about her?
Not a thing.
Then let me inform you of a list of coincidences. Mrs. Warburton uses another club in which you play, the Alhambra.
Oh, it's a good stand. You got taste, love.
And Mrs. Warburton lives in a block of flats called Blackfriars Mansions. Do you know it?
Vaguely.
Well, you should do. You once did a small building job there.
Us? Never, no.
Not exactly never, Mr. Lovelace. You replaced some windowsills in Blackfriars Mansions in October 1969, did you not?
No. We don't keep records.
You keep records of your club acts.
Oh, that's different. That's art.
You keep records of the activities of a gang called the Jolly Swagmen.
No. That's my partner. He has a morbid fascination for crime. His shelves are full of Colin Wilson.
Crime in general or crime in particular?
I don't follow your drift.
Mr. Lovelace, 3 heavy books of press cuttings were found at your flat, all relating to crimes involving impersonations.
My lord, I fail to see what the hobby of the defendants has to do with the matter before us. And I submit, my lord, that this line of questioning can only prove prejudicial to my clients by implication. All this is pure conjecture.
My lord, I merely wish to discover why the defendants were so fascinated by crimes of a similar nature to those with which they're charged now.
My partner has many strange fascinations. None of them you'd lock him up for.
When was your last job before December the 13th?
Job?
Yes, building job.
Oh. We call them rentals. They pay the rent.
Very well, when was your last rental?
We keep busy, but we don't keep records.
Well, in this case, let me present you with your own record. Your last job before December the 13th was on November the 27th, pointing brickwork opposite Blackfriars Mansions.
What a pity it didn't last a bit longer. Could have given you a hand glove. Yes, yes.
I suggest that you did, Mr. Lovelace, and that you and your partner use your free-wheeling building methods and club acts to eavesdrop and spy out the land for this kind of activity.
I could never involve my partner in anything that required intelligent planning. He couldn't sniff out a gas meter.
I suggest you sniff out your jobs very carefully. Well, are you asking the court to believe it is pure coincidence that time after time you have been working or performing so near to the scene of a perpetrated crime? Is it coincidence that you were working opposite Mrs. Warburton's flat only 2 weeks before it was entered and robbed? Is it coincidence you were playing in a club the night before Mr. Roach's flat was entered? Is it coincidence that before you were apprehended, you were drinking in a public house so near to where these crimes were committed that same day? I suggest it is no coincidence, Mr. Lovelace, and that you and your partner simply follow these crimes around because they are part and parcel of your act.
And I suggest, as there are so many coincidences, of which I only counted 3, the crimes follow us around. The criminals may be fans of ours. They may get ideas from our acts to strengthen their own. I mean, the whole theatrical world's full of impersonation. Every street corner's got his Tommy Cooper.
Maybe, but not its jolly swagmen, Mr. Lovelace. Now, will you please tell the court how you played this alleged joke on Mr. Roach?
Do you want the whole routine?
No, thank you, no. Just from where you parked your van outside his flat.
Well, much as it goes against my principles to give away trade secrets, this is the way it went. Me and Levis parked the van, changed inside.
Rather cramped, surely.
We often do it before a show.
Very well, go on.
Came out, went into the block of flats with the samples, up the stairs where Levis left me. Went along the corridor, conned old Roachy with the promise of a free drink, then gave me the signal. Then we were in. Tied him up, did the business, and Levis went around looking for the hot stuff.
Yes, and he was extremely successful, wasn't he? He was back in just a few minutes.
Well, he just grabbed what he saw.
I suggest he didn't just grab the pornographic material, Mr. Lovelace. I suggest he knew exactly where to look for it.
Well, it was where you'd expect to find it.
And where's that?
Under the pit of iniquity.
The pit of iniquity? To what do you refer?
The bed, my lord.
Well, then say the bed.
The bed?
And what were you doing in the meantime?
Oh, keeping Roach amused. A few conjuring tricks, bit of a laugh.
Yes. And then Levis returned. Well, you'd succeeded, hadn't you? You'd proved your point. Why did you not then tell Mr. Roach it was all a joke?
Give away a punchline, never keeping that for the club.
I suggest it was no joke. The only thing that you were keeping was the property of Mr. Roach for yourself, and that you had no intention of returning it at any time. It's no joke, Mr. Lovelace, callously to leave a frail and terrified old man tied to a chair.
Mr. Lovelace, let me clear up 1 or 2 points. This business of leaving a frail old man tied to a chair. Mr. Roach hardly seems a frail old man to me. How was he when you left him?
Well, he looked fine. He was loosely tied, but, I mean, he seemed resigned to the fact that he'd been conned.
I mean, you saw no danger to his health or well-being.
Well, could have been free in minutes. I mean, he wasn't gagged. I mean, we only needed a few minutes to make our getaway before he rumbled the joke.
Now, Mr. Lovelace, to return to your evening entertainments. Are there many acts similar to yours touring around the circuits?
Oh, yes. I know at least a dozen in Clubland, and they're just the boys at the top, you know.
And are there many jobbing builders similar to yours?
Place is swarming with them. I mean, they're tumbling out in the yellow pages.
So the chances are that one could take a random selection of nightclub acts and jobbing builders, and because of the very mobile nature of their work, find them in the area of a crime.
Yes.
In fact, this is the common coincidence that connects your practical joke on Mr. Roach with the vindictive crime perpetrated against Mrs. Warburton. Not a very happy piece of timing, was it?
It went like a lead balloon.
Mr. Levis, you are the other half of the act known as Lovelace and Levis.
Well, Lovelace likes to make out I'm the tail end of the horse, but actually I do the accounts as well.
Now, Mr. Levis, there seems to be some difference of opinion as to whether you and Mr. Lovelace made it clear that you intended to play a practical joke on Mr. Roach.
Well, you know, when you've just done a show, you do like to relax a bit, and if you've been up there slapping an audience in the face and then you come down onto the floor, well, you might not be communicating with the customers quite as directly.
Yes, I don't think I quite follow that, Levis. Would you give us an example?
Well, my lord, if I'm up on the stage in drag and I pick out a member of the audience and I say, oh, you're very, very naughty, any more of that cheek and I shall come down there and I shall clean you out, well, that has an effect that everybody will understand. But if I'm down on the floor having a drink, still in drag, and I say to somebody, any more of that nonsense, I'll come down and clean you out, well, it might not be interpreted in exactly the same way.
Is that the actual expression you used, clean you out?
Yeah, that's one of our catchphrases.
Did you threaten Mr. Roach that you would clean him out?
Well, no, not as specifically as that. I didn't want to give the gag away.
I see. Well, let's get on.
Now, at some stage, did you and Lovelace decide to play this trick on Mr. Roach?
Oh, yes, Lovelace gave me the wink and whispered that it might be a free spot to brush up the act on Roach.
Would you explain that a little more fully, please?
Well, you know, if we could pull the wool over his eyes, even though he is a bit thick, well, then we'd have a bit of fun and we'd prove that the act was good.
I see. Now, Mr. Levis, during this case, there have been several references to a pair of criminals known as the Jolly Swagmen. Were you aware of their existence?
Oh, yeah, of course I was. I mean, their exploits have been the talk of the town for months. To make it topical, we'd even put a gag about him in the act.
How do you mean?
Well, it's me as the woman again, and it's him as the Pakistani, and he says...
Would you care to try my samples, madam?
And I say, I was done over last week by your samples. You come back when you got the genuine article. Well, it sounds better in the dark.
You went into Mr. Roach's bedroom and you took certain objects. What made you choose these things?
Well, the porn we had decided on. You know, we're going to have a bit of fun with that and use it in the act that night. And, well, as for the other stuff, I just picked up what was at hand to cover up the joke.
So there was no need to ransack the place because you weren't looking for anything special?
No need to ransack at all.
In fact, did you even open a drawer?
No.
Or hunt for money?
No, I just picked up here and there.
And what did you intend to do with these things?
Well, we're going to do a silly sketch with it. You know, we're going to do the hospital sketch. I'd be playing the nurse, he'd be the Pakistani doctor, and he'd come on the stage with the suitcase, and he'd open up the suitcase, and then he'd say...
Goodness gracious, there's a latex nurse in my case.
And I'd say, well, put it back, this is a hospital. Stuff like that.
Until the audience finally realized that Mr. Roach was the recipient of your wit.
Nicely put.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Levis, about your van, are you the driver?
Oh, yes, Lovelace doesn't drive. The police don't allow it.
He has endorsements.
Well, he collects endorsements like some people collect trading stamps.
Yeah. Before your van was spotted at the Ball in Hand public house that day, you presumably been somewhere in it that morning.
Oh, yes, we had been driving it about.
Doing a job?
Well, we were looking one over.
Of what nature?
Well, it was a bit of re-roofing that we're thinking of tendering for.
Yes. Did you have an appointment to meet anybody?
Oh, no, we just went off his own bat.
Yeah. Where was this job?
Well, it was on the industrial estate.
Oh, yes, anywhere near Blackfriars Mansions?
Yeah, it was somewhere in that area.
Anybody see you?
Well, if they did, they didn't ask for our autographs.
As you say, you went to look at a prospective job, yet you didn't meet anyone. You didn't look it over with a foreman or a client, and nobody saw you.
Well, that's the way we like to work, you see. We always pick and choose, and then we make a bid.
Yes, but you didn't in this case.
No, we didn't. Well, it was a bit of tat, so we just gave it the elbow.
By this pick-and-choose method, you make a living?
Oh, and we do all right.
You like these easy money jobs, do you?
Well, sometimes they're easy money, but sometimes they're hard money.
How much do you make by this method?
Oh, it pays the rent.
How much?
Well, it varies with the weather.
But at this time of year, Mr. Levis, say over the last quarter.
Well, we don't keep records.
Excuse me, you just told my learned friend you kept the accounts.
Oh, well, yeah, I do, but it's, you know, it's like one for me, two for you, one for me, one for the taxman, one for you, two for me,
rough
you know.
and ready accountancy, I see.
Well, we don't rob one another, you know. We're not clever enough for that.
Oh, indeed. And so after a morning cruising around looking for a job, you ended up at the Ball in Hand.
Yeah, well, it's a home from home, really.
You're well known there, are you?
Oh, yes, we've got the tankards up behind the bar.
I see, and it was crowded that lunchtime, and when P.C. Clough was seen to come in to ask you about your van, you were tipped off and made a quick escape.
We've never made a quick escape from a pint in our lives.
Well, I suggested in this case you did. You were seen hurrying to your vehicle and driving off at a dangerous speed.
But in our van, anything over 10 miles an hour is a dangerous speed.
Davis, you never give a straight answer. You must treat this court more seriously.
Well, there is nothing more serious than a joke, my lord.
Well, the joke is over. I want straight answers. Otherwise, contempt of court will be added to the charges you already face, yes?
Mr. Leavis, the court has heard in evidence from P.C. Clough that you drove your van at speeds approaching 50 miles an hour down side streets and back doubles in an erratic manner, which was only interrupted by the accident of a burst tyre. Now, are you trying to tell the court you were not attempting to evade the policeman who was pursuing you?
Well, I never saw him.
Well, where were you going in this dangerous manner?
Well, I'd only got 10 minutes to get to the betting shop. I was going to put half a sheet on the 3 o'clock.
And was this meandering route the most direct one to the betting shop?
Well, I was only doing the driving. Lovelace was map reading.
Was there any need of map reading in a district you knew so well?
Well, we've got to give him something to do with his hands.
I put it to you that you were attempting to evade the police car following closely behind.
No, sir.
Now, when the policeman searched your van, he found numerous items of dress and makeup, including the items on exhibit. Now, why, if you were on a building job, did you have costumes in your van?
Well, you never know when you're going to be asked to do a turn.
On a building site?
Yeah, but it could be a lunchtime pub show.
Or a quick illegal job?
The Roach job was one off, if that's what you're getting at.
What about the crate of milk bottles in the back of the van?
In the trade, it is a well-known fact that the lead in paint constitutes a health hazard. And if you drink a pint while you're on the job, it'll counteract the lethal effects. You can soon work your way through a pint or two of milk.
All right, Mr. Leavis. Now, tell us about the Roach job.
But you've already heard it.
I've heard it from Mr. Lovelace, but not from you, Mr. Leavis, if you please.
Right, well, as he says...
No, as you say, please.
I was driving the van. We changed in the van. Lovelace got his samples ready. I walked up to the top of the stairs to see if the coast was clear. Lovelace followed behind me and hid at the top of the stairs. I knocked on the door. I buttered up Roach. I moved in. Then I gave the signal to Lovelace and he moved in.
Then you tied him up, searched the room, took the stuff and got out.
That's right, and then we went back down to the van and changed out to the gear.
Lovelace unblacked and you took off the beard and spectacles.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Leavis, may I remind you were dressed as a woman. It was in the morning you took off the beard and spectacles after the Warburton job.
Well, no, I mean, I'm in and out of gear all the time.
Mr. Leavis, I put it to you, you are in and out of gear all the time because you're doing jobs all the time. In your van, you have milk bottles, wine samples, beards and wigs because you use them in your despicable pursuit of robbing old ladies and helpless old age pensioners. I put it to you that all you and your partner want from life, one way or another, is easy money.
Yeah, well, you give me a wig and I'll make some easy money your way.
And I put it to you that you'll resort to any form of exploitation to achieve your purpose.
Well, you ask the hospital board. The only thing that we ever exploit is our own generosity.
You'll exploit anyone in your act, won't you? From cheap sexist jokes about female anatomy to racialist jokes about Pakistanis.
Well, for that matter, you could say that any joke at all has got some form of exploitation in it.
And calling yourselves the jolly Swagmen, you'll exploit the vulnerability of old people by glibly talking your way into their homes and stealing their life savings.
Yeah, well, you might make a living out of glibness, but I don't.
Mr. Leavis, much has been made of your ability to fool Mr. Roach into admitting you into his flat. Would you tell the court, please, were you surprised how easy it was, considering that you'd never done this kind of thing before?
Oh, no, I wasn't surprised at all.
Why were you not surprised?
Well, that's always been part of our act, you know, to pick out someone out of the audience and use them and play on them, and that's the method we did use on Roach.
And after this audience participation, is it at all unusual for that person to claim that they weren't fooled at all?
Oh, no. When I take the wig off, they always say, well, he never fooled me. But I'll tell you something, one or two of the lads are quite often very disappointed.
Disappointed? Why?
Well, up to then, they've fancied their chances.
Now, finally, Mr. Leavis, in your act, do you often dress up as a man with a beard and spectacles as well as a character in drag?
Yes, I do.
And this involves quick changing?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's out of one thing into the other.
Is that why you were confused as to whether you were wearing a beard or female clothing at one given moment?
Yes. I often have to stop to think who I am.
Thank you, Mr. Leavis.
Members of the jury, before you retire to consider your verdicts, I must instruct you to banish from your minds all questions of personalities, performance, entertainment in this court. Really, there are only two things you have to decide. Firstly, were the defendants the intruders into Mrs. Warburton's flat? And secondly, does the evidence suggest that their admitted intrusion into Mr. Roach's flat was a practical joke, as you've heard them maintain, or did they enter his flat intending to steal? Now, you must on no account assume that because they've admitted being in Mr. Roach's flat, that they were guilty of entering Mrs. Warburton's premises. But you may think that the evidence you have heard here links those two incidents, and if so, then you may think that a verdict of guilty on all charges would be appropriate. But before you can give that verdict, you must remember that the onus is on the prosecution to prove their case to your entire satisfaction. So now will you please retire, elect a foreman to speak for you on your return, and consider your verdict.
Will the foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you all agreed?
Yes.
On the first count, robbery upon Mrs. Warburton, do you find the accused Lovelace guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
And you find the accused Levis guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On the second count, robbery upon Mr. Roach, do you find the accused Lovelace guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
And you find the accused Levis guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Very well. You're discharged, free to leave the court.
All stand.
The cases in Fulchester Crown Court are fictitious, but the jury consists of members of the general public.